Welcome to the Business Buyer Diaries. My name is Nathan Platter. I'm a full-time employee, and I bought a business. I did everything right, from finding the deal, handling all the due diligence on 63 opportunities, and ultimately bought a profitable gym. And boy, was I in for a big surprise as a new owner. I chronicled everything in real time, including the biggest wins to the stressful nights at 2 a.m. I'm sharing my journey without sugarcoating anything, so you don't make the same mistakes that I did. Here's today's episode. All right, today's going to be some career advice. Not so much on the gym. So we're going to talk about employees, how to get promoted, your day job, and all that stuff, because you probably go through similar stuff or think about similar things as a business owner. So if you don't want to hear that, skip the episode. It's not for you. If you want to hear that, let's roll. So at my day job, for a little while, I was a team lead. So I had one person reporting up to me. So big whoop. That's a big amount of people. But right now I'm a senior in my role. So no one reporting to me. I report up to a manager and he reports to a VP. So for people in the context, that's what it is. And we were doing like the 6-month check-in for how to do productive evals and feedback conversations with the people that report to you. And since management is something that I would love to do and is on my radar, I still get invited. And so one of the interesting takeaways, there are a couple of keeping it vague in the tech space. So we're in the tech space. A lot of my coworkers are California, Bay Area, some New York City. So it's kind of like that mid-sized tech company. So that's just the background. And something that they're doing, I'm gonna smooth out the numbers since some of it is probably their specific structure. But I've heard similar things from other folks in like the financial industry, in the banking industry. It's almost like the same. But when giving evaluations and performance, there's usually like different categories, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is like, you're amazing. 1 is you are terrible at your job. And the way that we do it, we have like a name for it. I don't remember what the names are, but we have a 1, 2, 3, 4 system where like, I think the top one is like exceptional or like superior or something like that. But like, that's the A player role. And the lowest one is like underperforming. And then there's 2 more in the middle. So I'll just make them up here. Exceptional, extremely good, or like meets expectations, and then like underperforming. And the breakout was they're expecting at least, and this is what I've heard from other folks too, what they've done is ballpark, about 10% will be exceptional, extreme performers, 10% are going to be underperformers, and then about 40% are going to be above average as well as, doing their role, doing good work. Something that I noticed though, someone asked like, hey, and like, what do promotion cycles look like? What does that look like? And a typical thing is it takes about 3, maybe 4 years to move up a level in the same contributor role. So if you're I'm a product analyst, a data analyst. So it takes someone about 4 years to go from analyst to like senior analyst. And then if you wanted to move up, it might take another couple of years to be like a team lead or like a principal analyst. There's different terms, but like the captain above like all the seniors. And you're still not managing people. You're just a higher performer for like coding or whatever. Something that caught my attention though is there's like a 2 to 3 year or like a 3-year time period to move up as still like doing your work. But someone asked like, hey, what's a promotion look like when someone has like capped out? They cannot be any higher in their contributor role. What if they like move up in the pyramid of the company, like get closer to manager or director or VP? And I don't know who, but someone said it takes only about 15% or so of individuals that want to move up or that are ready to move up end up moving up. So basically 15%, that means about every 6 years, if you're in a role, you're doing well, you have a desire to get into management, it takes 6 to 7 years to move up into management. And so it's the classic, how do I become a manager? Well, you have to be promoted internally. Well, how do they hire managers? Well, they hire managers from other companies. So at some point, you either have to get hired at a brand new job up into management, or you have to get promoted at your current company from a non-manager into a manager, where you're now like directing and guiding your peers. And looking at the qualifications to meet that upper 10% ratings group, it was surprising. You had to be exceptional at your work. exceptional in your stakeholder relations, exceptional in the quality of your deliverables, exceptional in like your team collaboration and creating value. You had to be exceptional across the board. And anyone who's exceptional in all elements of their job, that's really hard to do. That's probably only 10% of people they were estimating will end up getting that particular rating. It's not a hard and fast rule, but that was just something I noticed. All that to say, when you're an employer, you don't want it, but you should expect that people are going to ask for raises every year, especially when you're in an inflationary environment like we are right now. Inflation is at like 8 to 10%. You should expect your people will ask you like, hey, I want to afford my groceries. May I have a 10% raise? And as an owner, you need to be ready for that conversation because that money has got to come from somewhere. And if you're not increasing revenue or growing the company, it's going to come from your profit, your back pocket. So owner's comp is going to go down. And so everyone else gets a raise, but you. So all that means is the goal of the owner needs to be growing and expanding the company so that you can be paying and affording these raises to your team. Now, do they deserve them? Yeah. If they're doing good work, they're contributing, they're adding value, they're growing the business, they're helping you collect a draw or a salary or a distribution or a dividend. Yeah, they're working hard to help you get a paycheck too. Like they should get that. It's your goal though, is to grow the organization. And if the organization is shrinking and your cost of payroll is going up, something's going to not last for very long. The business is either going to implode, like you see with a lot of union situations, or you're going to have to do layoffs or have to cut vendor costs or something, but you have to find the money somewhere. Last thing you want to do is close down the company because now everyone gets paid zero. And so you got to figure out how to do it. But it was interesting to see what it takes to move up as an employee. And candidly, it's surprising to see how much work it takes to move up. I want to get into management, but I don't know if I'm exceptional in every element of my role. I think I'm above average. I think I'm exceptional in a couple things, but I know I'm average at a couple things. Staying organized, attention to details, knowing like when to initiate another stakeholder review. Like I'm not super good at that. But when it comes to like analytical work, assessing what is going on behind the numbers, relaying that and delivering that in a verbal presentation, I can do that very well. But like I'm terrible at PowerPoint. And my strengths and my weaknesses, how do I find a way to get promoted or work my way up in a job? And took a wrong turn. And so as an employee, how do I maximize my strengths? How do I handle my weaknesses, but not gloss over them? But yeah, I know I'm not going to stand out from my peers having above average everything. I'm going to stand out by being exceptional at a few things and satisfactory at a few things, because historically in my life, whenever I've been cherry plucked into an opportunity or I get selected for leading something initiative, it's because they're looking for those couple key strengths. As long as you can own your mistakes or where you're not as naturally inclined for something, to say, yeah, I am bad at PowerPoint. I am not fantastic at estimating work timelines. Like when I'm given a project, I don't know how long it's going to take. I'm bad if it's going to take 3 days or 3 weeks. I can estimate it. Sometimes I'm way off. And that's a weakness of mine. And to own that up front, but yet to say, hey, I know how to raise the culture of the team. I know how to have a highly engaged team where 80% of people show up to like the team event at the weekend. I know how to elevate the satisfactory scores for staff members. I know how to collaborate and do a buddy system. But just own your strengths. And so as a business owner, how that carries over, your job is to find people that are exceptional at a few things, equip them to do those things well. And in my opinion, don't try to get them to be better at their weaknesses. Help them to live with their weaknesses, but acknowledge if you want folks that are incredibly good at sales, incredibly good instructing a gym class, incredibly good stacking paper and making binders and folders for sales meetings, or incredibly good at organizing parties and events, find those people and celebrate where they're really quirky and good at what they do. And I don't think it's worth trying to get someone who's a great party planner to all of a sudden be really good at assembling steering wheels onto vehicles at the factory. I would rather have them focus on party planning, team events, collaboration, employee engagement and to stay in their lane of X, because people want to do what they're good at and they don't want to. The things that people are not good at, they take longer, it's less enjoyable, and it's a less quality output. And so it's across the board, just loss on loss on loss. People are not working in the things they enjoy and that they're good at. So that's what I learned. Sitting in on a manager meeting at a tech company. It's about 1,000 people. So it's not really big. It's not really small. It's not like mid-sized to larger company, I suppose. But learn that your job as an employee is to do fantastic work, stand out in where you can, and own your advantages and be really freaking good at your advantages. And to acknowledge, yeah, this is where I'm struggling. This is where I'm bad at stuff. Here's how I cope with it. Here's how I handle it. And I'm working to get better on them. But I'm not going to make them a strength. I'm going to make them an area where I can improve and grow as a human. That's what I'm learning. If you want to become a manager, that's the timeline. If you want to rise within a company, that's what it takes. If you want to grow a small business, honestly, it's better to grow your business like 20 or 30% a year. Afford those raises for your staff of 10%, 20% a year. And then keep deploying capital and resources where it's most valuable, whether that be an ancillary product, a side business that supports your main business, like a marketing or a sales agency, growing the business itself, or starting something new that has higher growth potential. But the goal is to ultimately be able to provide and advocate, expand good things that are needed. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm going. That's how to be a better employee. That's how to stand up for yourself, how to stand out for yourself, how to contribute and be the no-brainer go-to person when the right thing arises. You don't want to be, I would rather be the top pick for a couple of specific things than the number 3 pick for everything, because you'll never get the pick. You need to be the top pick in a few key areas and to stand out just enough to have those shots. That's where we're at. That's where we're going. Be a great employee, be a great entrepreneurial business owner. Let's rock and roll. This has been another episode of the Business Buyer Diaries. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. I hope you're realizing that business ownership is no cakewalk. Check the podcast notes for a link to the DIY due diligence program, the complete list of show sponsors, and for media inquiries. Music written and composed by Wes Schrock. I'm your host, Nathan Platter. Join me again on the next one.